Thank you. Richard Cashin, 22 Burnett, Fredonia. I came tonight because I just want to have an opportunity to reiterate my strong support for working together with Dunkirk or the Water District to buy water. I think, as I've said before here and in the newspaper, I think it's the best solution. And to me, one of the strong things that makes it obvious is when more volume is put through a business with high fixed costs, whether it be, I don't know, pharmaceutical plant, ice cream plant, a water plant, the unit cost goes down because the fixed costs remain the same. So if we can work together with the North County Water District or the city, over time, like I said, there could be absolute decreases in cost, but the rate of increase will go down. And it certainly, if everyone we can keep all the cats together, which I understand, Brockton's, everyone's looking and trying to figure out what's best for them, which I also understand. But I do believe the total cost per unit will go down. And further, I was pleased to read in the paper, I don't know, a few weeks ago, that the county has approved, if I understood it correctly, the hiring of a full-time administrator for the North County Water District, as is currently in the South County and around the lake, Shuck Lake. And assuming that's true, and I believe it is, I think having professional administration will also help keep the district together. Get the right person, and people can trust that they're there and you have continuity. I think that also will make it even stronger. I also like the fact that I understand we're now considering, I guess, maybe with Pomfret and looking at, Lord knows I don't believe we need another study, but if having engineers that can talk to each other, maybe we can get one water tank in the right location that can help everybody. I mean, these are the things I think that should be analyzed, in my mind, much more than trying to figure out what we can do to fix what's up on the hill. I really believe people, if they watched, thought, and listened carefully to what was said at the meeting of the Opera House, the solution is clear, in my opinion. And I guess it's not directly germane to this, but I would also say, just as I talk about the North County Water District hiring a professional administrator, I suggest, not for tonight, but some point to consider, is whether the village needs also to have a professional administrator like it used to have. I think it's big businesses, and the continuity is often in the staff because there's turnover in volunteers. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Timing was good. James Linden.
Good evening. First, I'll make sure it's okay for me to be here. I suspect I'm one of three. July Viewpoint, Mayor was doing an interview, and the interview had to do with the pro-housing, and the question was raised by the interviewer whether it had anything the state would have control in regards to home rule. And the mayor said that it has nothing to do with home rule whatsoever. It's the same three people every week, and it's always something. Now, am I one of the same three? I'm here every week. Do I have the, am I worthy of being here?
Of course.
I'm a taxpayer of the village, business owner of the village. That was said in a very derogatory manner. So I just want to make sure that all three people that you spoke of always have the right to be here. Now, when he said that it had nothing to do with home rule, that is farthest from the truth. New York State Constitution, Article 9, Municipal Home Rule Section 10, Village Law, New York State Village Law Section 7, and the enacted village laws of the Village of Fredonia all directly connect with the pro-housing program that was initiated by the governor, which was done so as a order of the governor, but it was not an emergency. It was an order to establish the ability to spend money in a particular fashion. It was not a law that occupied the field, was not a general law, was not a preemption of the law, was not a special law. It wasn't even a matter of state concern, because it was not stated in that fashion. This village has now voluntarily given up its autonomy to the state by allowing itself to enter into a program that the state now, as that program states, will make your zoning laws less restrictive and create more density within your community, allowing things like accessory buildings and many other type of things, just on the possibility that you might have an opportunity to get some funding for something. But it also states on page 2 of the executive order that it does not preclude someone, if you're not certified, to apply for any of these grants in any way or diminish your ability or deprioritize you. As long as those grants that you're applying for, utilizing your own zoning, has something to do with housing. So you didn't have to jump in on this. That was 3. Okay. I have more things to say, but I guess we don't have a whole, if my other friends were here, maybe they could.
Catherine?
Yes. Okay. I'm here because July is National Disability Pride Month, marking the 34th anniversary of the Americans with Disability Act. And my name is Catherine M. Nelder, and I have had some disturbing incidents occur at my home recently. These include invasions of my privacy, harassment, and minor vandalism. As I have recently exercised my rights as a citizen of the state of New York, these incidents are considered retaliation. As I am a survivor of domestic violence, I have surveillance at my home. These incidents have been recorded and documented, and if these incidents continue or escalate, I will exercise my rights to the fullest. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody that has not had the opportunity to sign tonight? Okay. Correspondence. I believe there's none. That closes the public portion, by the way. Mayor's report. Tuesday, June 25th, we had the opportunity to meet with Kaleida officials concerning groundbreaking for the new hospital. They would like to break ground sometime by the end of this summer and are aiming for a 2-year plan to have the hospital open by that time. Tuesday, June 25th, also met with Pomfret Supervisor Dan Pecos along with Trustee Esperson concerning an alternative plan for water. Speculation is that we could save taxpayers millions of dollars working with Pomfret on existing underground infrastructure and also newly upgraded gravity-fed tower. On the 25th, same day, attended the last Village Planning Board meeting to discuss not only the pro-housing initiative, but also Kaleida's plan, and was introduced to their legal team. On Wednesday, June 26th, held a public hearing on the proposed USDA Rural Development Grant to purchase a new truck for the DPW to replace a truck with a broken axle. And on Friday, the 28th, met with members of the board of the Western New York Disc Golf Community to discuss the possible placement of a new 9 to 18-hole disc golf course designed to enhance the quality of life for our residents. Several site locations were discussed, and we appreciate them reaching out with the opportunity. On Monday, July 1st, attended the Vietnam Veterans Pinning Ceremony to honor veterans for their service to our community. This is well-deserved and long time coming. Attending the service at Cassadaga High School's auditorium were trustees Esperson and Syracuse. After the event, I tried to meet and congratulate as many of our veterans and families as we could. Over 179 veterans were honored by the event produced by Congressman Nick Langworthy. On Tuesday, July 2nd, I made an appearance on WDOE 96 Kicks FM's Viewpoint to discuss local issues, a monthly appearance on behalf of the village. And at 11 a.m. on June 2nd, we conducted the final meeting of the New York Main Street Grant Committee, along with members of the Labella Group, to determine the winners of the grant. Letters all went out last week, and we hope that you've received them. I encourage those who did not participate this round or were not chosen, keep your eyes on additional opportunities that'll be coming along shortly. And you can find that on our website and our social media. On Wednesday, July 3rd, we conducted our bi-weekly village workshop. And on Friday, July 5th, I was honored along with Assemblyman Andy Goodell to attend and issue a proclamation during the Eagle Scout Court of Honor for Mr. Leoneth Velez Olmo. He earned 54 badges during his time at Scouts, as one of only 2% of Scouts worldwide to receive this well-earned honor. He's a recent graduate of Fredonia High School and excelled at track and field and will be going to college. He's one of 5 brothers. He is the 4th of the 5 brothers to have received the Eagle Lever, and his youngest brother is next. And he announced to me that he would like his community project to focus on improving the basketball courts at Russell Joy Park. So, a family of future leaders and current leaders and concern for our local community. So we greatly appreciate them and salute them. And that is the end of my report for this meeting. Trustee and committee reports. Trustee Brockler.
I'm just back from spending the past week working with the one of the premier events in our county, the Great Blue Heron Music Festival. Fantastic event. Too bad it's not happening near Fredonia. We had about 5,000 guests from all over this area and as far away as California and Canada. So it was really kind of a fantastic event. And that's about it for me. I'm sort of conscious. It was exhausting.
Trustee Esperson.
As the mayor said, we attended the Vietnam pinning ceremony in Cassadaga, and it was very moving to see some of the veterans who were struggling to get on stage to receive their pin, working hard to get up there and getting the recognition they so are honored to have. Tomorrow or Wednesday, I'm meeting with Lewis and Scott to talk about drought plans to try to get something formalized, and then we will be presenting that at the workshop. Today, our engineers met with the engineers from the town of Pomfret. I'll be conversing with them tomorrow to see how that went and what the thoughts are, and then we can think about how to move forward from that. That's all I've got.
Trustee Twitchell.
Yes, I did attend the farmer's market this weekend, and they did have a band in the park for 4th of July celebration, and it was well attended. And I just have to say, the farmer's market is wonderful for our community. I see so many young families come out, and people that have the advantage of using their money, double their money, if they have a voucher from the state to purchase food products. And I'm just grateful that they're here because it really is part of our community. The farmers market just brings a lot of people into our village, and those people, they'll go to Upper Crust, they'll go to some of the other restaurants, and it's a really good community atmosphere. I really enjoy that. And I do have something I'd like to read. I was elected to serve the interest of the citizens and taxpayers of the Village of Fredonia, but my pro-Dunker colleagues continue to favor aligning our water future with 2 troubled entities, the city and North County Water District. Over $18 million of loans from New York State are keeping the city's municipal functions, including its water, afloat. The district has borrowed $5 million from the county taxpayers and has made no repayments on the principal of the loan. The New York State Comptroller has cited the district for improper accounting procedures. 2 other municipalities dependent on the district have recently expressed their frustration with its poor services. At last week's workshop meeting, we learned that the discussions are underway to consider purchasing water from North County Water District, and that these discussions are, quote, preliminary. But we've learned that preparing an environmental impact statement in accordance with New York State is also preliminary to making a decision. A few weeks ago, we heard that a quote unquote umbrella seeker would be prepared, yet I've seen no commitment here to that. My following comments relate to statements made at last week's workshop meeting. There was an assertion that we are in drought, although there is no confirmation from any authority to that effect. There was a statement that was made about a SUNY professor, which his qualifications I don't understand, has described financial savings from buying water from the city or district. But we haven't seen the written analysis of the professor's findings. The board has not requested this either, and no consideration of purchasing water from the district was included in the $144,000 quote-unquote comprehensive Labella study, which has since been discredited by New York State Supreme Court ruling. There was a statement that enhancing the village's connections with the district would eliminate construction costs. How is this possible when the existing connections are designed for short-term use and failed to function at all when the attempt was made to utilize them 2 months ago? And where is this board's approval of funding for Labella to study a possible full-service district connection? My question about this board's possible intentions to provide funding for long-term upgrades at the water filtration plant was met with a firm quote-unquote no. This response, again, serves to illustrate my colleagues' disregard for making decisions without following a seeker regulations. The statement that the intermunicipal Vineyard Drive interconnection and pump station was quote-unquote probably constructed incorrectly coincides with widely recognized observations. The fact that the city has changed its assessment of how much water we can get from this connection reflects their legal right to deny the village any water at all under emergency or unforeseen circumstances. But the assertion that the station, quote unquote, lacks the power to get the water anywhere is shocking, especially after Fredonia taxpayers invested in the $2 million upgrades at the station. What I'm showing is evidence that depending on other municipalities or agencies for water is fraught with peril due to their own financial and infrastructure challenges. The apparent failure or underutilization of our existing interconnections also illustrates the complexities of intermunicipal water agreements. I and many other citizens believe Fredonia has all the resources it needs for a secure local and regional water future. We need to maintain and develop them. Thank you.
Trustee Wandel.
Thank you. Part of our responsibility as trustees in the village government is to provide services, as was just expressed by Trustee Twitchell, for water, for streets, for our underground infrastructure, and for our wastewater system. I've taken on the responsibility of working closely with the wastewater team and that plant and the status. I prepared a report. I was there for a good part of the day today, and I'd like to read that, if I may.
Certainly.
Okay. So this is essentially what we discussed this morning. I met with, there are 7 points here. So the first point was I met with representatives of BCC Electric and Wendell Engineering. The purpose was to discuss and formulate a plan and subsequently an engineering quote to include the following: emergency backup power for the digester effluent valves, there are 3 of them, and associated control panel. Sorry if I'm a little detailed and technical, but that's just my background, so please forgive me for that. Emergency backup power for the blower system, 3 times 3, and associated control panel. Currently, these systems are only on the grid power and not backed up by a generator. So even though the plant has a backup generator, there are subsystems in the plant that are not backed up currently. If they fail, we're in trouble. Number 2, we discussed plant supervisor remote access to the Plant IQ SCADA system. This will include a thin client setup and a secure router installation. Quotes are in process from 2 companies currently. benefit is remote access for the plant blower operation. This would allow the plant supervisor to access some parts of the plant systems from home.
Paul, can I interrupt for a second? We're down to one blower, right? Or did they fix the second?
We're down to one blower. That is in process. He has a plan in place to correct the broken blower. Number 3, we discussed the plant's cybersecurity needs. Currently, the plant has no internet security. Very big issue. Number 4, we discussed the need for the total plant SCADA system. An action plan has been set in place. The initial team is the supervisor, the technician on staff, and myself. Current work includes develop necessary I/O lists that identify critical warnings and alarm functions for the entire plant operation. This is preliminary data needed for engineering quotes. So basically what we're talking about is having a sophisticated current level technology monitoring and control system for the plant that would alarm the operators and the supervisor of any issues going on with the plant. And there are issues. The number 5, the Labella grant is dead. This was only realized after the plant supervisor, David Felt, recently inquired about it. Why? My question is, why wasn't Labella proactively communicating with us? It took the plant supervisor to initiate that. David will work with Erlissa to identify and follow through with grant opportunities. And he will have communication with you on that. My comment is we must put this on the fast track and report our status and progress. So getting our grants is critical, mission critical to our needs here in the village. Number 6, the digester effluent pumps. There are 3 are now working in automatic mode. They were recently fixed. However, issues still exist. They are running at a very high duty cycle. This adds to wear on the valves. So we have plans in place to modify the automation code to optimize the performance, working with a company called Motion AI out of Buffalo and Rochester. And the last one, number 7, we have developed a proactive action item list. They are ranked, but most are on the mission critical list. So the mayor, you've been communicated about some of these action items. We're ranking them in terms of high-level priorities. Next is to proceed with engineering quotes after we if we do our local research homework, and we can then formulate engineering quotes, work with our engineering network, expand our engineering and supply networks, and then we will now meet on a weekly basis to work the plan. And that's basically it.
Thank you. Thank you for the time on that. And I appreciate Dave working with you. We asked him to put together that plan with you, and it sounds like you've got a lot of I's dotted and T's crossed.
I mean, yeah, Mayor, we have a lot of work ahead of us, but, you know, it's only going to happen by working together and just that, working together, meeting regularly, identifying the needs, and then getting the initial preliminary work done so then we can get our engineering community involved with quotes and then seeking after grant funding.
Good deal. Thank you. Trustee Syracuse.
The only thing I have is the lawsuit and the court case was never to question the validity of Labella's report. That was never, ever part of the question. It was the procedure and proceedings that the board followed with the information that we were given. It was not the validity of that study. That remains intact. That's all I have.
Thank you. Treasurer's report.
I have the fiscal year end report. The general fund has a net income of negative $888,275, which is $918,099 less than at the end of last year. Income is down $230,818 from last year at this time. Expenses are up $687,281 for a total of $8,056,955. With this being said, our fund balance is very close to being wiped out. We saw a drop in the sales tax revenue, utility bill tax, franchise fees, and on-street parking.
The ambulance revenue, although up from last year, $81,000, it was still $275,000 short of the budgeted amount. As for expenses, we saw a $33,000 increase in attorney fees, specifically related to the general fund in comparison to last year's expenses. Most expenses fell into what was budgeted. Our shortfall really comes down to not bringing in the revenue that was budgeted. For the current 24-25 budget, we are going to have to make some hard budget adjustments if we do not bring in the revenue that we anticipate. I would suggest reviewing this information each quarter because if the revenue is not coming in, then we need to lower our expenses, which means cutting budgets. We missed out on $470,000 in revenue in comparison to what was budgeted, and this cannot occur again without moving forward without making the proper adjustments. For the water fund revenue at the end of May was $421,761 higher than last year, for a total of $1,902,940. This was due to applying ARPA funds of $305,450 to some of the expenses that we've had at the plant for the engineering study and other equipment. The expenses for the water fund are up $452,424 from last year due to performing the work required by the health department as well as the engineering studies to determine which direction would be best for the village to pursue where our water will come from. The attorney fees were up $54,000, which were from the discussions on the direction the village would go and the residents' water claim, which was about a $32,000 expense. The increased revenue will continue because of the price increase that was accepted with this budget. The sewer fund has a revenue of $1,727,850 at the end of the fiscal year, which is $67,303 more than last year. This also included ARPA funds of $167,257. The expenses for the sewer fund are at $2,104,352, which is $207,429 less than last year. The net income is negative $376,501. This is $207,429 higher than last year. There have been multiple equipment issues at the plant in the last couple months that have been addressed and are continuing to be updated and repaired. We also closed on a ban for the wastewater project after last year's budget was formulated and the payment change was not accounted for, which totaled a $92,000 increase in expenses. There will continue to be some equipment purchases, repairs. We are looking into grant options that are available for these projects.
Excellent, thank you. Additional reports, Fredonia Police Report for the month of June 2024. This was filled out by David E. Price, Chief of Police. Total incidents reported 928. Fredonia Central School calls for service were 2, accidents 13, arrest reports 16, vehicle and traffic incidents 65, domestic incidents 17, and 4 parking tickets were issued. Resolutions.
Be it resolved that the regular and overtime payrolls of the various village departments and bills approved by the Finance Committee and set forth in abstract numbers 721 through 724 are hereby approved and directed paid and filed in the village clerk's office, 9 to 11 Church Street, Fredonia, New York.
Second.
Trustee Twitchell.
Aye.
Trustee Esperson.
Aye.
Trustee Brockler.
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Trustee Wendell.
Aye.
Whereas the village requires the pumps to be replaced at the Webster Road Pump Station, and whereas Moley Industries, Lockport, New York, placed a bid to provide 2 Pentair horizontal single-stage split case pumps, an installation for the price of $57,787.50. Whereas the replacement of these pumps is necessary for the village's purpose to maintain the equipment to move the water for the village. Therefore, be resolved, the village board hereby authorize the purchasing of the 2 Pentair horizontal single-stage pumps from Moley Industries for $57,787.50.
Second.
Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Trustee Wendell.
Aye.
Trustee Brockler.
Aye.
Trustee Esperson.
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell.
Aye.
Whereas the village requires the replacement of sanitary sewer pipe on Central Ave in front of SUNY Fredonia for the Department of Public Works. And whereas Lakeshore Paving, Jamestown, New York, provided a quote for the excavator to dig to reach the lines, as well as 2 laborers for 1 day in the amount of $3,762, and whereas the replacement of these pipes is necessary for the village's purpose, and the digging is necessary to reach the sanitary pipes. Therefore, be it resolved, the village board hereby authorizes Lakeshore Paving to be paid for 1 day of 2 laborers and an excavator for this digging in the amount of $3,762.
Second.
Trustee Twitchell?
Aye.
Trustee Esperson?
Aye.
Trustee Brockler?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Wendell?
Aye.
Whereas New York State has passed the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act, the Climate Act, calling for 70% of electricity in the state to be produced by renewable resources by 2030 and 100% of the state's electricity be generated by renewable resources by 2040, and whereas Congressman Nicholas A. Langworthy has voiced deep concern in the addition of wind turbines and introduced legislation to curb this negative development, H.R. 426, the Lakes Before Turbines Act, would protect our environment and local economies from ill-conceived wind energy projects on these waters. Whereas wind energy has been designated by the Climate Act as an essential form of renewable energy, and whereas there are several commercial wind energy facilities operating in Western New York, with more in the planning and permitting stages, and whereas New York State's Power Grid Manager, New York Independent Systems Operator, NYISO, has determined the Western New York zone of grid to be 89% free of carbon emissions in the generation of electricity. 5, and whereas NYISO has described the lack of electricity transmission facilities capable of transmitting electricity from Western New York to downstate grid zones, which are 90% dependent on fossil fuels for generating electricity. 6, and whereas the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority determined in 2022 that this is not the right time to consider constructing offshore wind facilities in Lake Erie. And 7, whereas the offshore wind industry is experiencing global difficulties related to inflation and supply line shortages, as evidenced by the recent New York State Public Service Commission decision denying industry requests for higher power delivery rates. 8, and whereas the long-planned Lake Erie offshore wind energy project known as Icebreaker Wind near Cleveland, Ohio, has recently been suspended. 8A, whereas questions concerning offshore wind energy facilities and freshwater bodies remain unanswered, such as these, which are not included in the NYSERDA reports of 2011 and 2022. What assurances that toxic industrial wastes in the lake bed will not be disturbed to endanger safe drinking water and enter the food chain of Lake Erie's fish and bird species? 9, how would the placement of offshore wind turbines in Lake Erie affect the migratory pathways and behavior of economically important game fish? 10, what would be the impact on tourism of placing wind turbines in Lake Erie? 11, specifically, how would offshore wind turbines in Lake Erie contribute to the emissions reduction goals of the Climate Act? 12, how would the radar interference created by offshore wind turbines in Lake Erie affect the safety of shipping, recreational boating, search and rescue operations, and international border security? 13, now therefore be it resolved, the Village of Fredonia opposes currently any efforts to introduce offshore wind turbines in the waters of Lake Erie. Be it further resolved that the Village Board supports Congressman Nick Langworthy's Lakes Before Turbines Act, H.R. 426, and urges its immediate consideration in Congress. Be it further resolved that the village clerk shall forward an email copy of this town board resolution to Honorable Governor Kathy Hochul, Honorable United States Congressman Nicholas Langworthy, Honorable State Majority Leader Andrea Stewart Cousins, Honorable State Minority Leader Robert Wirt, Honorable Speaker of the Assembly Carl E. Heastie, Honorable Majority Leader of the Assembly Carl People-Stokes, Honorable Minority Leader of the Assembly William Barclay, Honorable New York State Senator Patrick Gallivan, Honorable New York State Senator George Borrello, Honorable New York State Assemblyman Andrew Goodell, Honorable New York State Assemblyman David DiPierdo, Honorable New York State Assemblyman John Rivera, Honorable Erie County Executive Mark Pollinkars, Honorable Erie County Legislator John Mills, Honorable Erie County Legislator John Gilmore, Honorable Mayor of the City of Lackawanna Annette Iafalo, Honorable Mayor of the City of Buffalo Byron Brown.
I second it with a provision that we change
No.
where it says town board, change
Oh,
that
yeah,
to village
village.
board. So if you could read that again.
Oh, village, yeah.
Town, I second.
Are you sure you're done?
I'm
Okay.
Oh, I'm done.
You second that. Okay. Trustee Wendell?
Aye.
Trustee Brockler.
Although I rarely find myself agreeing with Congressman Langworthy, in this case, he's absolutely right. That's the worst place to put wind turbines. So, aye.
Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Trustee Esperson.
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell.
Aye.
So moved. Unless there is any reason for executive session,
Yes, I make a motion that we enter into executive session for matters concerning employment within the Village of Fredonia.
Second.
second. Trustee Twitchell.
Aye.
Trustee Wendell.
Aye.
Trustee Brockler.
Aye.
Trustee Esperson.
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next meeting for the Village of Fredonia Workshop will take place on Wednesday, July 17th, 2024 at 9 a.m. in the Trustee Room, second floor, Village Hall. And the next Village of Fredonia Board meeting will take place on Monday, July 22nd, 2024 at 7 p.m. in the Trustee Room, second floor of Village Hall. And we want to thank you for tuning in tonight, and thank you for those who attended. And have a great night, everybody, as we get ready to enter executive session. Thanks.